Hello. It is the Doodlefort. It is the day that we doodle. Hello. It is the day that we doodle. And we fort. And we doodle fort. Yeah, it was kind of bad, Zara. I was just like, oh no, Chad. It's fine. We'll get back into that game at some point. We'll figure it out. Hi. How are y'all? Today's gonna be real short. The Twitch wave has hit me. I think I want to say the Twitch wave has hit me. At this point, everybody's going back to work. Everybody's coming out of COVID. The numbers are going down. It's happening. It's happening live on stream. Right now, right before your eyes. The stonks are dropping. Shockingly. I know. But I think it's finally hit me, so. No. Oh no. I don't. Oh no. Hey Goose. What's up? We were having a time. Gwen, I need you to make some decisions in the mod chat of our Discord, ya butt, and I need you to figure it out so I can make you a mascot. Ya butt. God. Ah! Or just message me on Discord, whichever works. Anyway. Hi. Hi, Goose. How are you? How is everybody? It's okay. You're fine. I know you're busy. You have a child. You're busy. Sargoto is also busy. I get it. I'm just being a butt. Okay. It's gonna be a super short Doodlefort. I'm gonna clarify that right now. We have one submission. It is from Jordy. Hi, Jordy. Welcome back. Like I said, I'm turning off my... Also, hi, Strayer. No, we're not yelling at Gwen. I'm just motioning to Gwen to respond to something so I can give her a cute mascot. It's fine. Oh, nice. I would like to see the fancy cat box. I have turned off, and I would like my mods to know this too. I have turned off basically email verification and phone verification. Okay? That basically means anyone can come in here at any time and talk. If a hate raid comes at any point, which is why that was turned on, we are gonna turn it back off. Or we're gonna turn it back on. So, there's that. I'm just letting you know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, Hi, we're gonna talk about shapes today. I'm trying to think on where to start. Yeah, we're also gonna flip chat into either subscriber only or emote only. One of the two. It'll be great. But it's fine, because I can do that from my dashboard too. That's not an issue. It's so much fun. Anyway, hi. Today we're gonna talk about shapes, mostly. Shapes dictate literally how you think of everything, and I don't remember the exact scientific study there was for it, but it was asking someone to naming shapes study. The Booba and Kiki effect. So, in most cases, people were asked literally to name which one of these was Booba and which one was Kiki. Or Booba and Kiki, whatever. So, the question is why is it that when you look at these two, okay, chat, which one would you name Kiki? Is the first one I'm asking, I guess. That's literally my first question. If it was K-I, let's say. It's a very interesting study, honestly. If they also did the study on infants, laugh for Kiki. Okay, that's the more round one because that's a cute name. Probably the one with the sharp edges. Okay, so the reason most people in the study picked the one on the left was because it had the sharp edges, and so because of that, they were like, okay, well, I'm gonna name that one Kiki. For no fucking reason. There was usually no reason, and in most cases, people wanted to name this one Booba because it was like a blob, right? It has to do with understanding shapes and symbolism and things like that. So we generally associate certain shapes and certain sounds together. So things that are pointy generally go with the k noise. They're also generally more violent in most cases, where things that are round generally tend to be soft, especially because even as cavemen, if you saw something like spiky, like a cactus, your brain would be like, I shouldn't touch that. But if you saw something like goopy, you'd be like, ooh, I want to touch it, you know. Also, B is round, that's true. Also, let me switch to just the, not that one. Instrumental beats for streamers, Chillhop lo-fi 2020 beats, woohoo. Oh boy. Anyway, there's a whole study on this. That's not what we're getting at today. What we're getting at today, let me delete these real fast, is shapes in general, okay? And this is actually, I don't know if you noticed this, Jordy, but the 3 characters you picked from Animal Crossing are actually the perfect examples of circle, triangle, and square without, I think, realizing it. So good job. So, okay. When you think of something that is round, you tend to think of something that is safe or comfortable, okay? You tend to think of more comforting sorts of shapes. It's a welcoming feeling. It feels safe, all right? So that's the basic idea of that. And you don't specifically have to have like a round body type. You can have rounder heads, oval body types, just circular, you know, details in the character. Like if you notice, she has like a very square body, but this is very round. There's a lot of round here. There's little round flowers. Her cheeks, her glasses, everything about her is very round. So you get the whole like, oh, this is a nice little grandma, you know, that we're just gonna go talk to. Okay? So, in turn, square Okay? And this is probably going to wind up coming across very gendered, but that's just kind of how the art world still goes about it. In a lot of cases, we use circles for women and squares for men. That's just how it is. You can break that mold and do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. But that is generally how you will be taught, and then once you are taught that, you can move on and do whatever the fuck you want. So yeah, same idea. You can have squared off poses, square details. Things that are square tend to be hard to move. They can be very sturdy and reliable in most cases. This is saying that they can feel strong, which I would agree with. When I think of square, I immediately think of like buildings, you know, and I don't exactly expect a building I don't exactly expect a building to very easily fall over at any given time, okay? So if you make something out of square shapes, you expect it to be pretty reliable and not easily tipped over, so to speak. Okay, so third shape, triangle. Yes, you would hope not. Triangles can be many, many things. Most of the time, they are... most of the time, they are for things that are evil, in most cases, or things that you would not want to interact with. But that's not always the case. You can also use them to show things like intelligence, or even just some snootiness in a character, or just straight being menacing without meaning to be. Being very bookish can work if you add circles and things like that. It really just depends. So not every character needs to be every single shape. So like you notice, she has this very round welcoming head, but she has this very triangle-like shape to her. So she's both comforting and like unsettling somewhat. With this guy, you notice that he has like the square shape in him for his torso, but his body is not squared off. So you're still like, that guy's an asshole, and that's all we need to worry about, so to speak. Okay, so if you were to break down some characters into more basic shapes, let's say, just real quick, if I were to say how many triangles are in Jafar from Aladdin, how many do you think there are? And I will pull up a reference of him real fast. And I'm just going to use my mic, so don't mind me. Aladdin Jafar.
According
Yeah,
to
I don't care, Google. He's a villain. He uses a fuck ton of triangles. True. Okay. So. Do you understand how many actual triangles we have when we look at this fucking character? Like, actually, there are, and we'll go over every single one of them. Let's see. His nose shape is a triangle. His chin is a triangle. He has sharp cheekbones. He literally has triangles right here to dictate this shape. His feather in itself is not rounded off, it's a triangle. This is an entire triangle. His cape usually has sharp edges around like the elbows, so I would consider that to be a triangle. He has these long, gangly sort of fingers, which I would dictate that when like put together usually also become triangles. You have a triangle here, you have a triangle here, there's a lot is what I'm getting at here. So you can see, going over it, that there's actually quite a bit of shape language just in the design alone. And this isn't even getting into body types. This is just talking about shape language, okay? Because shape language is going to dictate what body types you are going to draw, so to speak, when you're making a character. Yeah, you could argue that literally this is one big triangle, as well as this is one big old triangle. You could argue that. They're amazing. Shapes are amazing. There's a reason why I get you guys to try and learn to draw circles and cones and squares and so on, in order to understand body language and how to build a character and layer shapes. Because again, like I've been saying for almost 4 years now, all you need to know how to draw is a circle, a square, and a triangle. All you need to know. Well, and probably a cylinder. I'll add cylinder to that. If you can do these 4 things, you can draw fucking anything. Hi, Sparky. Thank you for the tier 1. You don't have to do that. This is Doodlefort. Feel free to just hang out. Okay, so if I were to say Jafar is a triangle, what other shapes can you think of in Aladdin? Okay, that's fair. Well, I am grateful either way. The king is round, okay. So we have a circle now, and a triangle. There's at least 4 other characters we can probably give shapes to. Sorry. I haven't been drinking that much water today. Sorry. Okay. The guards have a bunch of shapes. That is true. Let's talk about... Here. I'm gonna copy this part out first, and then we'll talk about the second part, because I don't want to spoil the first part for you guys. So, okay. In this, you can tell already that there's tons of shapes that we're dealing with, okay? Like, a lot. You can see that Genie has very rounded sort of curves to him, even his arms and his shoulders, his chin, his eyebrows, his little hair thing, all things about him are extremely round to some extent, okay? So he's a helping character to some extent, but he's also magical, and you gotta consider that in some way, which is why I think, personally, why they ended a lot of his little tips and things in points. There's not a lot of them, but there's 1 or 2. And 1 or 2 accessories can be like, oh, you're a little weird. Like, Genie, you're a little weird. You're not just a person, you're a little weird. Like, because he's a fucking genie, right? Carpet. Okay. Square. Obviously, fucking, it's a square, right? Carpet, in the movie, for example, saves Aladdin multiple times, helps him win over Jasmine. They have the whole flying sequence, blah, blah, blah. Helps him save the day. In Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar, he helps him save the day, even though he's almost dying at one point. The point that I'm getting at is that, again, we have a square, but it has these rounded shapes because he's a nice, comforting character while also being extremely grounded. Okay, so those are done. We also agreed, basically, that the king is round. So, there's that. But I would argue the king isn't just round. Okay? What shape would you actually say the king is if you were to take from his head to him butt? Like, from here to here, what is this shape? Don't worry about the hat, by the way. Just think of the body, like the torso area. Kind of looks like a square. Maybe. So this is where we get into, hi Zanri, this is where we get into the fact that shape language can dictate what a character tends to be, okay? Have you ever heard the term pinhead? Or fathead, or anything like that, okay? Usually when a character tends to be smart, okay, and I'm gonna be just drawing very generic designs real fast. Let's say we're gonna draw a huge fucking nerd, okay? It's Mandark, okay? So he's like, he's a huge fucking nerd. He's got all his books and stuff, and his hair is like a bowl cut. Who cares? No one really cares. The point that I'm getting at here is that he has a large head to dictate that he is intelligent, okay? It is a rounded large head to dictate that he is intelligent. Whereas the Sultan comes to a point, the Sultan's kind of an idiot. He's he's well-meaning, but the Sultan in the movie is kind of an idiot. And so you wind up with characters that are fairly stupid being thrown into two sorts of categories. You have the, we'll just do it this way. The big, caveman style, I'm gonna fuck you up, sort of, I'm a big asshole, I have no brain in here. And you have the sort of, my brain is sort of the biggest part of me, sort of nerd shape, with like usually a more rounded head in most cases. It's a blockhead, yeah. It literally comes from the term blockhead. So you start breaking it down and you realize you can use shapes to not only dictate like if a character is comforting, but also what kind of personality they have. So you can kind of tell with Jafar, again, from this design, he's got a really squared off stance, meaning he's pretty intimidating and he's probably going to be pretty tough to beat. You can't just, like I said, you can't just shove over a building, right? So what makes us think that we can take down, as like a little street rat, you know, this dude who's worked with the Sultan, or whatever the fuck. I liked how I picked one of the worst Disney movies, racially. Anyway, so how do we think that we're gonna be able to deal with this guy at all? Because, like, look at him. He's really, really intimidating, and my chair is doing a thing. Hold on. There's like a squishy part of my chair that likes to fall out, and I don't know why. But it makes the chair physically uncomfortable if I don't have it. But it falls out all the time because it's not attached to anything, and it's so fucking annoying. So, moving on, you have the general idea that you can use two different types of shapes. Hi, Will. How are you? It's one of those days where I am out of breath. Hi, Will. You know what would fix that? A throne? Probably not. How are you, Will? Welcome to Doodlefort, where we're talking about art and really doing nothing else. Adventure.
Hoi hoi.
Congrats on the animated emote. I don't have a lot of air in me today. I don't know why. Also, Boca, thank you for the tier 3 for some reason for 42 whole months. That's a lot a month. Also, I'm just now realizing that you have a first badge, and that makes more sense. I see. Anyway, so if we were to sit there and go, okay, so then that generally means triangle is evil, trickster, tends to be, can also dictate being stupid, can also dictate being, you know, narrow-minded, can also dictate just a lot of things, okay? What do we want to say Aladdin is? Because I'm kind of curious what you guys actually think his shapes are. Don't worry about Jasmine. Jasmine's a woman. Jasmine is Disney woman. She's boobs and butt. That's all she is. That's all they ever fucking are. I want to say 2 triangles. I would actually agree with that. So he has round face, and then he's a triangle, and he's a triangle. But, he's also a square. He's all of the above. And that's kind of interesting to have to think about in some regard. In most cases, when you talk about this sort of shape, it's sort of just like an hourglass sort of shape, because it dictates that there's a square and a triangle there. But he's very reliable, but he's also a fucking sneak. He's a thief. Even though he's doing it for good reasons, he is still a thief, for example. He knows how to outsmart guards, things like that. So, main character, a lot of shapes. So, going into that, alright, let's get away from Disney really fast, because Disney is also here. Let me show you the part that I wasn't showing you. That, yeah, y'all picked basically like the correct shapes and stuff. So, how do we put that into an actual character, right? Actually, zoom in on this image real fast, because we'll do this as an exercise together. Because we're gonna break down some characters. I know some of which, but not all of. Okay, so basic ass characters. We obviously have most of the cast of Wreck-It Ralph, but if we were going to break down these characters into shapes, what would we break them down into? So we'll start with one, okay? If you needed to figure out, character design-wise, shapes to fit this character, you would need to sit there and think about what kind of personality they are, stuff like that. But we're working backwards, which is a little bit worse to deal with and teach. But we're gonna do it anyway. So, if you notice, there's the arms behind the back, for one. We'll just go ahead and just say this is the torso, because we can. But I'm going to put this specifically at an angle, because that is what it is. And then I'm also going to point out that these feet are extremely narrow comparatively to the tops of the legs, whereas, for example, on this character, they're about the same. So we have more triangles, so they're a sneaky little shit. This is, of course, Vanellope, you know, so go from there. I would actually also keep the head as a circle, but you get the general gist of it. So you go, okay, then what is he? And you go, all right, well, hand, head. We have obvious squares. We have square, and more squares, and more squares. So a lot of mix of shapes, right, for Felix, because he's also got like a very round nose. I will point that out. He's a lot of things as a character, and they do really push that in the movie, that he's many things and he's fighting with many parts of himself, right? And then of course, it's squares. It's all squares. It's all squares. It's all squares. It's all fucking squares. It's literally all squares. Other than his face, because he's a main character and he's comforting and nice and sweet and actually a great guy on the inside. Oops, all squares. And you get the general idea. You can sit there and realize, like, oh, like there's more shapes overall that I'm completely missing when you look at that sort of thing. So, one other thing a triangle does, one second, is dictate speed, I will say. And the best example I can think of is okay, don't save it, please. This fuck ass. Literally Flash. He's literally a triangle. He's literally a triangle. Like, his entire pose here is literally one big fucking triangle with a circle. He's literally a triangle. So, there's many different meanings to each and every shape, you know, and it's just about figuring out, it's about figuring out what you want to use for each. So we come back to this, okay? And so we start to notice now, there's more shapes in each of these designs than you might think there are. For example, don't worry about Jordy's design right now. Square. 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 Even if it's rounded. Square. Square. So there's that. Triangle. Triangle. Circle. And I'm not worrying about the bodies because they copy paste the bodies. I'm not worried about that so much. And then literally just circle, 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 and basically a circle at that point. I don't even know if I would consider that to be a triangle. There's so much. There's so much, like, that I don't even think you realized, Jordy. But you nailed it, to be fair. So, one thing I want to bring up before we move on. This doesn't account for body types 100%. When you think of body types, you usually think of 3. You tend to think of, and this is going to be very specific and blunt, but like fat, skinny, mid. You kind of think of that, right? You think of someone whose body is like, hey, what's up? Hi. I'm Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, basically. You think of someone who's usually probably like this, and he's like, hey, what's up? I'm really friendly, but I'm very big. And then you think of average person. And this person is like, what the fuck is going on? Because this isn't right. This isn't how body types work. This isn't how body types work at all. There's multiple other kinds of body types. Knowing that we now have shape language under our belt does at least open up doors for us to try to figure out other body shapes. So let's say we need a more muscular guy, okay? So what if we took a triangle, top, okay, and then gave him a squared off stance, you know, and he can have big old buff legs, no one gives a shit, he's hanging out, and we'll, I don't know, give him like this sort of thing going on. So we've now just created one version of a body type, right? Muscular dude, okay? Whatever. So you obviously have your triangles, you have your square, you have your square, you have your square. That's not the point though. We need more body types of muscular dude. Because there's not just one kind of muscular dude, right? There's other kinds. And the first thing that comes to mind with that is... Olympic body type image. Which was a set of photos done by, I don't remember who, of all the different body types of every single person at the Olympics that year. So these are all muscular dudes. Every single one of them. Every single one of these dudes is muscular and fit in some way. If you don't think this fucker is fit, he is. Because he needs the strength behind all of that weight to be able to do what he does. Okay? Same with all the ladies. All of these gorgeous ladies. This is 100% muscle. Like, people don't think about that. That's muscle. Because this is a person who does deadlifts. Like, 400 something fucking pound deadlifts. Okay? But you could go in and you could argue, for example, that this guy is more square, as is this guy. This guy I would actually say is more of a triangle, as is this one. I would actually say that this guy is even more of a triangle at this point. He fits that skinny nerd sort of fucking attitude that we had, where, you know, his legs come down to points and his chest is very prominent, so there's that. I would argue that, yeah, this guy is also probably a square, but his chest also gives off a triangle. I would argue that this guy is very square, and so on and so on and so on. And, you know, of course, circles, and so on and so forth. Same for the women, okay? So you have the obvious, like, you have a circle, but she also has triangles for feet. This fucking chick is just one big fucking triangle. That's all she is. And I know what she is. She's a goddamn gymnast is what she is. Right? Square. Square. Triangle. Square. And so on and so forth. And you can sit back and go, wow, these are actually all different fucking body types. And the reality of the situation is that it's not just for fit people. Larger people, you know, I'm just gonna be honest here, like, overweight and fat people can have different body types too, and that's okay. There are some people that when you are drawing them, let's say, might have larger hips than normal, and that's fine. Please remember your fat rolls. Please remember your fat rolls. And that's okay, you know, but some people don't. Some people aren't gonna have that perfect shape. Some people might have a thicker upper body, you know, and like smaller waist, and their fat is just distributed a little bit differently. And this might be more of a body type that you want to use, where it's actually more of a triangle than anything. So once you basically figure out that shapes make every single fucking thing you draw, it becomes so much easier. It will always be 100 times easier. I'm trying to find a good reference. Here's one. Here's a really good one. Here's a really, really good one. I would argue that these people are not exactly overweight and or fat. They're just kind of, but it's a good one. You don't always have to use circles. They can have top heavy. They can be bottom heavy. They can be center of mass heavy. It doesn't fucking matter. There's different fucking body types. So, that's pretty much most of the lesson. So we come back to the submission for today. And I don't know if everyone just got busy or what, I will say. Oh, whoops. You're fine, Sabs. Okay. Listen. This is the only submission. Doodlefort is short. It'll be a really quick and easy way to go back to it. Jordy, stop drawing on a white background, for one. Draw on, like, this shade of gray-ish, at least. At minimum. Like, one of these shades of gray. Because, A, it'll save your eyes, and B, it changes how your subjects are lit 100% of the time. Okay, so, going back in. So we're gonna sit there and say, okay, I don't really know if there's any issue because Jordy, you did what you were supposed to. You literally made a round body shape and a sort of triangle body shape and a square body shape. No, you're good. I'm just telling you right now. Okay, so the only thing I would really say is how do we want to improve them, okay? Because honestly, you already did a good job. You legitimately have already done a good job. You drew humans, and I think this would actually be a really good style for you to develop if you would be willing to draw in this style more, right? Because I know that you've talked about oh God. I know you've talked about like not being able to draw humans, but you've done fine. You've done absolutely fine. I know you're not confident and it's hard for you to try to learn new skills, but you literally like did it. I know you were talking about struggling with it like quite a bit, like for multiple weeks in the Doodlefort chat, but like you did it. And you should be fucking proud of this. Like seriously. There are times that, like, I think I've talked to you before, and I'm not trying to come after you, I promise. There are times that I've talked to you before about, like, hey, if you're not going to work on this thing, why are you here? Sort of thing. Because it's Doodlefort, right? And it can be really hard and really strange and uncomfortable. Not even uncomfortable, just scary to try and move out of your comfort zone. But you're doing a really good job at it when you are asked to. And yeah, it might have to be in the situations that, like, I quote-unquote kind of yell at you, but that's okay. You're still doing it, and you're still improving. If you had given me something similar to... What was it? I think you drew... When we did Horror and Easter, you drew, like, a bunny with, like, blood on it, and, like, a night sky and stuff. And it was just very you. And if you compared that to this, like, goddamn, Jordy, you did really good. It is 100% slow and steady, and that's okay. So, I'm going to give you some hints, and then we'll probably be done for the day. I'm going to basically talk about what we could do to improve each of these character designs comparatively to fit more of the shape that we were given, as well as giving them different body types comparatively to average skinny dude, average round chick, average square dude, right? And I'm not even really going to edit much of your stuff. I'm literally just going to use like the blur tool or the smudge tool. So I'm going to first up remove this and this and this. They are cute, they're fine, whatever. They're not what I'm worried about. Rome is not built in a day, no. Okay, so first things first, I would actually say just maybe consider, just maybe, she could just be a little bit heavier. And it's okay for her to just be a little bit heavier. And yeah, you may feel sometimes like you maybe are pushing it a little bit too far. But I mean, every body type exists somewhere. It didn't come from nowhere, you know? We're not sitting there and being like, oh, well, I'm drawing this person like perfectly skinny, whatever, because you're not. And then if you're going to increase body size here, then you should probably do so for the rest of the body, because to do so means that if you only put fat and weight in this part of the body and it's not distributed anywhere else, a person's not fat, they're pregnant. I'm gonna say that right now. Things like double chins and skin folds and arm fat and the little chicken fat that you have underneath your arm, like that all needs to change too. Now we have that, comparatively, right? I'm just gonna move this line back because it's bothering me. Yeah, we fucked up the pattern, but I'm not super worried about that so much. And then I'm just going to widen the head a little bit. Actually, let's shrink the head a little bit. Now, we have a small circle here. Whoops. Small circle here, big circle here, and ovals for your legs. So now this is more dictated towards that round body type, making her seem very comforting and very, like, happy to see you. Now, let's say we want to do something else instead, all right? We want to make her round, but we don't want to make her heavy. Let's say she's a round character, but she's skinny, okay? That one's a little bit harder, and you're gonna have to give me a second. Because the shape that you're gonna go for is actually an oval in most cases. Pattern doesn't help, but I'm not super worried about that. Okay, so now we have the shape that's more akin to being a rounded sort of character. Okay? It's not perfect, but I'm trying to not edit your design so much and just try to push it a little bit more so it makes sense what we're trying to do. Also, the addition of this flower and this shit, like actually adding like the collar and everything, mwah, mwah. It's fucking round accessories. It's exactly what you need. The fact that she has these little tufts of hair that go up and are rounded, you could in theory, and I know what I just said, you could in theory make them just round and it would have the same exact effect sort of thing, but it's not a requirement. They don't have to be 100% made of one shape. It's fine. So, okay. Lucky. This is a pointed as hell jaw. What I would actually offer is, instead of pointing the jaw so much, I would actually offer to just have very sharp cheekbones, basically. Because you still have that triangle shape, but at the same time, you know, you still, like, you're keeping the fact that it is a shape of a face. It still has a chin, and you could understand that, like, his face is probably, like, here, and nose here. But when you have that anime sort of, like, chin, if you know what I'm referencing, thank you. If you have that anime sort of chin, you can fucking kill somebody with that. Oh my god. Okay. So, we want to keep him in triangles, right? But we have this issue where his legs are pretty... We'll just say they're square. We'll put it that way. So what if we just narrowed them at the bottom? Just a little bit. What if they just narrowed towards the bottom? little bit harder because there's so many lines, but you get the general idea. So now we have the shape where it's a triangle. Again, I really like the character too, personally. So it can be hard to make a torso triangular without like completely changing the character itself. But what you've actually wound up doing is giving him a square stance, which is fine, let me add, because again, this is a circular sort of stance. This is actually a square stance, and so is this. But that makes him feel reliable, and even though he's creepy, he might be okay. Sort of like, I keep going back to Disney just because their shape language is so nice. Bruno from Encanto. You know, he's like this creepy dude that lives where he does, you know, and he's very skinny and stuff, but he also seems like someone you would maybe get along with. So we go, okay, what if we just push it more then? And we just bring up and down the shoulders, and they don't have to be perfect points, like at all. And you could give him that sort of rounded shape because he does have a rounded shape to his head, you know. So now we have the triangle shape. We have triangles all over him. I would even, if you wanted, make these into little triangles as pockets. Stop. Because you can. Nothing says you can't, right? You could even, in theory, give him, you know when a shirt has like these little things, like it buttons here, but it keeps going a little bit? You could do that and give him even more triangle designs, so to speak. Yeah, spooky but friendly. So then we go, okay, same idea. How do we turn this into someone who's heavy, for example? You go, all right. Well, obviously, if he's going to be a triangle, the better shape that we're going to go for would be the smaller head and the bigger body. And so you go, okay. Literally, I'm going to take the center of mass, where it is, I'm going to make him into what's called a pear shape, basically. Basically means that you have that big butt, you got yourself a big old butt, okay? And the reality of the situation is that you don't got a lot of shoulder. You are literally the shape of a pear. Well, technically, it's like this. And that's generally how you would keep a triangle shape. You can also do the opposite, if you so choose, and make his weight distribution, like I said, a little bit higher, and his weight could be distributed like up here. Because again, just because his weight is distributed up in him titties does not mean that he's a fit man or person or dog, whatever you feel like saying. And then again, even though he's gonna be a triangle, we need to redistribute that weight. Again, this is me just mushing around with the smudge tool. So it's not perfect. It's not by any means perfect. It's actually pretty fucked up looking. But now he has those wider sort of feet that come down to a point where his feet are a little bit smaller. So we still have a triangle. And you go on from there. Let me just back up. Yeah. Okay. So, same exact thing. I don't think there's much else to add to it. I would be careful about using it in clothing because it winds up coming across as, how do I put this? Just not well drawn, actually. Kirby is just a circle. Yeah, he's just a circle. He's big, he's friendly, he's round, and he's pink, and he's a circle. And you know what? He runs fucking fast because his shoes are this shape. Because they're both friendly and fast. Like, legitimately, that's it. He's a circle. You're good. I didn't really mention it with these or these because I was gonna wait till we got to the box shoes, because I also used to draw shoes like that. There are ways to draw shoes, I think, that still come across as like real boxy without actually just being like full squares. But that also just takes like shape, language, memory sort of stuff. I think of a lot of like Adidas and Nikes and fashion sort of shoes that Onsta would wear, if I'm honest. Stuff like that. There's ways to make these more square, and then of course there's ways to make them more round as well. But there's options out there. It's just about looking up reference. I don't actually think I want to edit him personally. I think I want you to. Having been shown what you were, I would like you to take this character and make let's say 3 versions of him, if you could, Jordy. Just a little bit of homework, okay? Because you did really, really good, but I want to see this as like notes, right? And anyone can do this if they want. They can take one character, okay, like draw a character, any fucking character, does not matter. Give him 3 different body types. Give him a body type where he's still square, but he's a bit overweight, or he's extremely overweight, whichever, doesn't matter. Give me one where maybe he's a runner. Give me one where, and literally you don't have to draw anything new. You can just go in and just edit these. Like, I do not care. It's gonna be real easy, I promise. You could literally go in with like a red line tool if you want, which I mean like just the color red, and just be like, okay, well if he was skinny, I would probably do this sort of thing, and this sort of thing for square, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think that's probably about it. Yeah, something like that. Also, hi crowds. We're farting a doodle. We're farting a doodle. We're done. I mean, we're done. That's all that was. This is when we get to the sad part. Doodlefort's gonna go on hiatus for a little bit. I need to get my shit together. I need to get my health together. I need to go to college. And I don't mean like specifically I'm going to college right now and I have homework. I'm talking like I need to apply to college, basically. And I have a lot of issues at home that I'm dealing with, like I talked about on Twitter. And if you don't follow my Twitter, I basically said that like multiple people in my family, including my mother, have and might have cancer. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Among other things. But my AC is fixed now, so there's that, and life is great. It's fine. So Doodlefort's gonna go on hiatus for a little bit. Yeah. I thought about this for a while. I didn't really want to, but I don't think I have a choice anymore. Because I need to finish my commissions so that they're done, so that I can focus on me, and I need time to focus on myself. So we're gonna go on a, what is today? We'll go on a hiatus for, let's say, 4 months. 4 or 5 months. We'll be back in June or July. One of the two. Or July or August, sorry. We'll be back in July or August. Nick, this music does not help that it's fucking emotional. God damn it. I mean, it kind of sucks to have to do so. It feels like I'm almost saying goodbye, even though I'm not. And I really hate that. But if you guys ever need critique or anything, always feel free to ask, you know? And we'll be back. You know, it's not like we're leaving forever. This music needs to stop. I'm just gonna put something else on. That works. It's a necessary pause, yeah. That's better. That's a bit better. Okay. Today is Saturday, meaning I will be back maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. Maybe Monday, probably Tuesday. Yeah, of course. I will let you guys know when I'm gonna start having to pay for tuition, so yay. Y'all go have fun with Gam. He's doing a Lego, I think. And we started about the same time, so here's that. Anyway, y'all have a great one. And I will see you next time. Yeah. Goodbye. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good morning, and good night.